for coming. 4th Annual DIY Lowell Community Idea Summit. Thank you. So this is a special Community Idea Summit for DIY Lowell because this is the first one where we've had a program director who is doing DIY Lowell, well, part-time, but full-time in our minds, because we just did it as volunteers. So we want to give her a great introduction. She's been amazing in organizing this event, putting it together, and what we're really trying to do is institutionalize DIY Lowell. By the way, I guess I haven't introduced myself. I'm Chris Hayes, co-founder of DIY Lowell.
I'm Aurora Erickson, the other co-founder of DIY Lowell.
And I'm Emily Ferrara. I'm that program director they were talking about.
Yes.
And we started DIY Lowell in 2015 as a volunteer-led community project to make these events, projects happen, teach people some interesting civic skills, and get the community together, get people who normally would not meet to meet and together and think of ideas and work on projects in a positive environment. And so we kind of did it on a lark, but that was so successful we did it again and again, and we decided we really wanted to DIY Lowell to continue and to grow and to strengthen the community. So that's why we got a few generous grants and brought Emily on board. Aurora, do you want to say anything?
When we started this, we had no idea if anyone else would be interested in it or whether anyone else would get excited about the ideas, would have ideas they wanted to contribute. And over the years, seeing everyone's amazing visions for Lowell, seeing everybody willing to do the work of seeing projects come together, it's just been so amazing and gratifying. And every time you're like, is anyone gonna come? Is anyone interested in this? Is anyone gonna have ideas this year? And we had so many cool ideas. We have so many, you always are watching the vote and you're like, kind of want all of them to win because they're all cool. And having people show up and be ready to work on the ideas is so exciting. Thank you guys all so much for coming. It means a lot.
So without further ado, Emily Ferrara.
Yes. And so really, we're going to do the project descriptions. So that just, really it's on your program, but we just want to be sure we just go through them so that you're thinking about what you might want to be involved in. So first, the Underground Railroad Monument, a wonderful recommendation and top voted project. And Jacqueline Holes is going to be our facilitator there. Yay! So the next is, do you want to say what the project is so that you can get people?
This project?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, Lowell has history of being part of the Underground Railroad. I was unfamiliar with that until last year. I'm not sure who submitted this project, but whoever did it is wonderful. So our task is to determine when, where, how, what it's going to look like for putting up a monument that commemorates the people and the Underground Railroad itself. So that's all that I know right now, and then we're going to work it out.
Yeah. Thank you. The next project is ghost sign projections, and that's another exciting project. Very, very creative and unusual. And Luz is going to be doing this.
So this is a wonderful project, and what we are going to do is using signs in Lowell that are deteriorating, and something that we really, really want to bring alive again. So unfortunately, we cannot do it by hand, but we are going to do it in a computer projector, so it's going to be a wonderful project. So come on over here.
And then the third one is called Open Art Spaces. And this one is a young idea project. This comes out of a project that was funded wonderfully by the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. The idea was let's really reach out into the young youth community and get their ideas in, and then work with the youth to make these happen. So we got collaborated with Teen Block. At least this year we piloted so far with Teen Block, Girls Inc., and the Boys and Girls Club of Lowell, and we ended up with 20 ideas out of the 60 that came in from youth. So we're really excited about that, and the top one is the open art spaces. Basically, the youth who submitted that idea said that he knows there's a lot of talent in Lowell and a lot of talent among his friends, but not sure, studios are expensive and galleries, may not be the kind of setting necessarily that they feel drawn into and welcomed into. We can change that, we can make something happen, and make it accessible, and that's the idea. We're thinking very broadly. We have a lot of ideas and people with ideas. We're going to figure that out and come and join us. If you're an artist, if you're an art lover, you love youth and you love working with them, the Open Art Spaces table. And then there's...
Yeah. So if none of those ideas sounded fun, which I don't understand how that's possible, but I'm sure there's someone in the room that is thinking, well, none of those were quite my speed. We always have at the summit a fourth group, which is a wild card group.
So if there is an idea amongst anyone in the group that folks want to pitch and people feel really excited about, we can just collectively call that the wild card, and we'll be working at it on it at this table.
really nice.
So before we move forward, we have to pause for thanks. And we have many, but here is a short list of some of the many people we would like to thank. So we would like to thank sponsors, of course. We could not do this without sponsors. Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union has been a major sponsor over the years and a great community supporter. The Lowell Cultural Council has been an amazing supporter of our work, both as DIY Lowell and of projects. And we encourage you to consider going to them for funding. They are a really wonderful community resource, the Lowell Cultural Council. Maxine over here might give you some suggestions about how to put together your application if you're a little nervous about that. We also want to thank the Coalition for a Better Acre, our fiscal agent and great supporter of what we do. Yeah, Coalition for a Better Acre. We also want to thank the Parker Foundation, which has given us a 2020 challenge grant that we are working to meet that challenge. And we also want to thank Enterprise Bank, Gallagher and Kavanaugh, the Lowell Plan, the Lowell Conservation Trust, Viewville Health and Wellness for our support and sponsorship over the course of the last year. We really appreciate all of those different partners. We could not do it without you. The Young Ideas Partners we mentioned briefly. We also want to mention again that's a Greater Lowell Community Foundation funded project. And the Project Learn has been our partner throughout. Has been giving us great advice, has been really fun to work with, and they're amazing partners. Anytime you want to do something fun in the community, reach out to Project Learn. Okay, and we also want to thank our DIY Lowell board, many of whom are here, but which I won't pause to thank individually, but we could not do it without all of those folks giving their ideas and their time and making this happen. Yeah.
Thanks. Again, thanks everybody for coming. It's really wonderful to see you all. Joey Vaughn. Joey was raised in Lowell. I am going to read what's here.
This is wildly awkward. That's cool.
I love it. Lowell by immigrant parents. Coming from Vietnam, he graduated from UMass Lowell in 2010. Dual bachelors in management and marketing, and after graduation, co-founded Freeverse, which we're going to hear some about, and spent time as a traveling spoken word artist, outdoor youth counselor, community organizer, youth advocate, and public school teacher. Amazing. So Joey, 4 years as senior program director for the Boys and Girls Club, and 3 years as the senior program manager for Eat for All, Entrepreneurs for All. And Joey opened a restaurant with his brother, Sizzling Kitchen. Fabulous.
I'm assuming you're all talking for the food at Sizzling Kitchen, not. The time of food, this food was fantastic. It's a round of applause for Lemon and Thyme. So that was actually my whole speech.
That's it.
Yeah, that's But I've been in Lowell for almost 33 years now, my whole life. And when I was asked to do this, I was like, what the heck am I going to speak about? But I've been a creator basically my whole adult career. And so before I get started talking about myself, which is super awkward, do you mind if I do some poetry? Is that okay?
Love it.
So this poem I'm going to read, Paul Marion just called me and said it's going to be published in the Atlanta Current. My poetry, I just want to keep creating and helping other people. So this one's called My Father's a Soldier. My father, he's a soldier. A Vietnam War veteran, proud, he stands back straight, left hand stiff at 0600, right hand right above the brow. Saluting the South Vietnam freedom flag that dances next to my American one, draped in camouflage green with a red beret tilted at the exact angle. His shirt is 60-year memoried with gold stars, honorary badges, soldier stripes, and a purple heart. See, grown men in their 60s and 70s salute him as he walks on by. Because my father, he's a soldier. See, that morning I saw my father shine his old size 8 war boots and I asked him if it was another rally. He just nods his head. Because no words are ever exchanged when it's another rally. As a child, I remember waking up to the sounds of my father screaming, Nam Sung, men! Men, that means duck down, grenade. Grenade. Didi Mao, GI, Didi Mao. Go fast, GI. Go fast. So I would stand at the crack of the door and watch my mother try to restrain his arms, legs, and her own tears. See, 45 years passed, my father tried to restrain his brother's arms, his comrade's leg, and his nation's tears. So I would sit in the hallway while my father pleaded to my mother, I could have saved him, you know. See, other nights, I would catch my father at the base of the stairway, gripping at his stomach where 4 AK bullets hit decades ago. Pa! Are you okay? Go to bed. See, the Vietnam War was a civil war, yet many pointed to my father saying, you killed my uncle. Many pointed fingers at me saying, go home, Viet Cong. The rallies are for veterans' rights. 20 years of rallies, no rights, all wrongs. You see, my father, he took bullets right above a foxhole that housed South Vietnam and US soldiers alike. See, my father used to tell me, son, we aimed at the same enemy, walked the same line, ate at the same table, took the same orders. The only difference is they never had to shoot their own brothers. See, my father fought in a war ridden with guilt next to blue-eyed soldiers, took orders and gave them to soldiers with blonde hair. My father found me a home ridden with guilt next to blue-eyed citizens, opened up a business, gave orders, and took them for men with blonde hair. Took his vow to ally citizenship for a country where many find him enemy. See, ask hundreds and thousands, and they'll say, yeah, your father, he's a Vietnam veteran. But look in American record books, and we're just a bunch of immigrants. See, my father shakes hands with American soldiers once every month. Vets come to his house, salute him, and call him sergeant once a week. He pulls out the old medal and the old soldier outfit about 6 times a year, polishes his medals once a rally, shines his boots once a memory, tells horrific stories once a nightmare, goes to the doctor once every bullet wound, and has night tremors once every salute. See, now he has PTS once a day with a glass of water, and he has rights once he stopped being a soldier. But I told you that my father, he's a soldier. Just don't ever ask about the war, because we're still fighting it. So I wanted to share that piece because you asked me to, you want to hear it. So because my journey in creation, this is what DIY Lowell is all about, is creating, started with poetry. In the name of Jack Kerouac, coming up in the city is so historical. And me, as a little kid, I just never stopped talking. So my mom's like, you better go do something when you're older that doesn't stop you from talking and making money. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll become a performer. So the first time I performed in creating and doing something that made an impact was actually in high school, when my best friend Anthony Febo, some of you might know that name, asked me to perform with him at the senior show so we can get some prom tickets because we're too broke to go to prom. And so he said, hey, you play guitar, right? I'm like, kinda. It's all right, cool. You go and play guitar, and I'll do some poetry. And that was the first time we got paid to do, our own work and create. But then after that, we formed a group called Life, Lyricists in Full Emancipation, on 6/22/07. And then we added another name in Lowell, Masada Jones. And the three of us, yeah. So if you know Masada Jones, shout out to her. She's an incredible artist, incredible poet. My best friend as well. We just celebrated both their birthdays these past 2 weeks. It's been an amazing, amazing journey with them. But our goal was just to create, just to be. So my point tonight is to leave a legacy in creation. So we created so that we can share what we went through with other young people, because we understood that we had a voice that others might not be able to. And so the group Life started doing local, UMass Lowell, Middlesex, Merrimack College, then went up to Boston. And then eventually people started recording us, and then YouTube became a thing. And YouTube's a great platform for creation, by the way. And then we started getting calls from universities in New Hampshire, and Maine, and Vermont, and then New York, and then Philly, Connecticut, Florida, Madison, Wisconsin, California, and then the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland. And our poetry took us across the nation, sharing poems of the struggles we went through, each one of us being young people of color and growing up in the Adams projects. We just shared our story. That's all we did. We just took something that was personal to us. We created it in this format called free verse, poetry, spoken word. And we stopped being nervous, got on a microphone, and just created. And then in 2008, I decided to go live in the woods for 3 months in the middle of a Broadway show. I left this Broadway show called Sweet Talk, Street Talk, because at some point, creating and someone else telling you what to create became too much of a pressure for you as an artist, right? And so I left in the middle of a show, and I went into the woods of Connecticut and lived in the woods in a buffalo tent for 3 months. And I grew up in Lowell. I had to learn how to find water, filter water, find shelter, all that kind of stuff, and I was teaching wilderness survival skills. But then I realized I'm also creating there. I was teaching young people how to survive in the wilderness, young men, age 14 to 19 years old. I was teaching them simple things like gathering berries, what trees not to eat, what plants is poisonous, how to find water, how to build shelter, how to build fire, cook food. To me, at that time, looking at it, I didn't think of it as creation, but now, in retrospect, I was teaching them how to create for themselves and live. And then after that, I came back. My two best friends were very upset at me. The show went on, and then the show stopped because I was part of the show. And I came back, they were upset. We had a whole intervention thing, like, why'd you leave? People thought I was on drugs, the whole Dave Chappelle thing. I wasn't, I was living in the woods. Crazier. And they said, you know what? Let's not perform anymore. Let's go and teach young people how to do it. So in 2008, this man named Sam Powell, who came up to us and said, hey, I love what you guys doing. Do you guys think about making that a nonprofit? At that time, we had all worked for UTEC or been involved with the Boys and Girls Club, the YWCA, the YMCA. Like, yeah, we would love to open up a nonprofit. What does that mean? Does it mean we just work for no pay? Being a nonprofit for 12 years, the answer is still yes. That is working for no pay, for sure. So that's when grant time comes around, and then you let people go. So they said, we want to start this nonprofit that teaches young people how to create, how to live their poetry, how to write, how to work through depression, how to make impact in their communities, how to go and speak in front of Beacon Hall to tell these lawmakers to change laws. This is what creation is. And we did that. It was called Free Verse. And Free Verse has been going on for almost 12 years now, and we still have students at Free Verse in Lowell. So go check out freeverseword.org. It's still going on. If you've been involved, you know it's amazing. I no longer run it. I'm just part of the board. Our original students are now running it. And that's the dream of creation, right? So after that, I went on to become an educator. and then moved on to the Boys and Girls Club, where we did a lot of DIY projects. We did a lot of like garden beds, we did a lot of paint jobs. With you guys, we did a couple of murals, I'm sure, at my time there. Just seeing how me being obsessed with creating translate to other people doing it too, and it was just such a powerful thing. And then a few years ago, my father, who you heard about in my poetry, my parents are both entrepreneurs. They're both very educated people. We came from refugee camps from the Philippines, very resilient. Asked me, what do I want my kids to think of me? Now I'm sitting there crying because I don't have any children. And my dad's in his 70s. And some of you might have seen him. The old man cooking pho at Sizzling Kitchen. That's my dad. Go say hi, because that poem is 100% true, all about him. He's super amazing. That's my superhero for real. But growing up, seeing him create, right? He learned how to fix cars, learned how to tailor, built a restaurant. Used to be called Nam Viet Restaurant, which is now Pho 88, right? And we sold that to them. So creating and also making money was something that I was like, oh, that's really cool. But he asked me about my legacy. And I took that with me for like 3 years, thinking about what legacy meant when you create. I just love doing things. I think back of times when my dad said, here, take this VCR, because now DVD player is a thing, and I broke it apart, and I was trying to make, so this is highly illegal, but I made a tattoo gun and gave my friends tattoos. And some of them work in this community now. They don't have sepsis, they're okay. That's a legacy. But I started thinking about what me and my brother were doing. And my brother came to me, he goes, hey, and this was 13 years ago now. He goes, hey, what did we come to this country to do? Well, I don't know, live? Like, no, we came to this country to create something. 13 years ago, he talked to me about Sizzling Kitchen. He goes, start saving money. I go, okay. Fast forward, Sizzling Kitchen's on his 4th year now. Fast forward 9 years after that, he goes, hey, it's time to open that restaurant. I'm like, but I'm gonna take this money to go buy a house. He's like, nope, we gotta do this. And so, in creating and working with the community, working with the Boys and Girls Club, working with all these great nonprofits, working with city councilors, I was my brother's missing piece to create something I believe, I'm not biased at all, but Sizzling Kitchen I feel is one of the best restaurants in Lowell. That's just maybe my biases, because my brother's food is absolutely amazing, as you can tell. But yeah, I just feel like in creating the restaurant, I felt like, oh, this is really cool. This is just like the projects I do with the young people. Except now, if I don't do it well, I can't pay my bills. But so Sizzling Kitchen, we've moved to a bigger space on the same streets. If you haven't been there, please go and support my brother and his family. They're doing a fantastic job there. You'll usually probably see his daughter at lunchtime. She's just running around playing, absolutely adorable. And then, you know, recently I've gotten with my friends to talk about what can we do to impact our community more. The thing about creating to impact and leaving a legacy, you want to do more all the time. And so now we have some secret things in the talks. I recently left EFRAL, which I will talk about for a second. EFRAL stands for Entrepreneurship for All. If you don't know what EFRAL is, you should. They provide, I'm still going to say we because now I'm a mentor there. If you ever interact with EFRAL, can you just raise your hand really quick? Oh, cool. So Entrepreneurship for All has business accelerator programs where I've seen people come in on day one with an idea, and on the last day, they've opened up a store. Okay, so EFRAL, if you want to be a creator and also make money, that's a place to go to. And the programs are for 12 weeks long, summer and winter. You get 3 mentors, and the program costs absolutely nothing. It's absolutely free to go to the program. And so go check out efral.org. But yeah, so when you ask me to come and talk, I'm like, why me? Like, what have I done? I just kind of go through the motions. I love working nonprofits. I love helping young people. I love helping adults. I love helping people in general. I love doing cool projects. And then when I sat down to categorize all the stuff I've done, the one thing I came out with that is I haven't done enough. I want to do more. So I recently left EFRAL to become a full-time entrepreneur to keep creating. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to create jobs. I want to make people happy. I want to make people have a good time. I want to evoke emotions in people. Like when I say Citizen Kitchen, people are like, oh yeah, cool, because my brother's food is amazing. But I'm also getting more involved with the city and joining a few boards. And so I got the 2-minute mark here. So last thing I will say is, if you haven't created, start to. Go explore. If you have, keep creating. And then when you do create, inspire, and then change. Thank you.
Before we go forward, this may not be shocking. I'm a super nervous public speaker. I skipped a whole chunk of the thank yous. Thank you belatedly to Washington Savings Bank, Eastern Bank, and also I forgot to thank the building we're in, which is really important to thank. So Lemon and Thyme has been providing the food, so if you're enjoying the food, definitely come back to the restaurant. So without further ado, I think it's time to...
Yeah, I'm sure you're all super eager to actually talk about the projects you came here to talk about. Thank you to Joey again for really getting us excited. It got me excited anyway. Move chairs to where you want to be. Feel free to grab some snacks again or some water before you go.
exactly the particular vision for what we want, but it's pretty much just trying to get a space where young people can feel comfortable. I'm not exactly sure what the expectation was for the review, but we've got a few different ideas. We're going to try to reach out to different spaces, different artists, and then teams to see what it is that they want specifically.
That's great. Everybody clap.
Our next meeting's October 17th, so if you want to be a part of our group, 4 o'clock in here.
Okay, it's the wild card, and we decided to go with a Did You Know sign campaign to basically show how zoning, tax, and parking regulations shape the design of Lowell. So we just want to get people to understand how land use policy affects development and start a dialogue to update our laws and regulations for a better Lowell.
Well, our group is going to have homework sent to us probably later on tonight because we are bereft of information, except for our expert over here, about all of the ways that Lowell was impacted and impacted either the anti-slavery movement or the Underground Railroad, which are two different but related things we learned. And we're going to try to figure out what the end game is. It could be a walking tour, it could be a monument. So we have to learn first, drink coffee, and then...
So our project was ghost signs. So you know when you see on the side of the buildings there's those faded advertisements from the 1800s and 1900s? We're going to revise those signs with projections. So there's the Renaissance on the River, which is the building behind the Wanalassett or Suffolk's building, whichever you like to call it. Rogers Pool Company on Middle Street. Right there, there's the sign across from the Textile Museum. And the Coca-Cola sign on Market Street. So we're hoping to maybe be able to hack a projector and put our own signs in. So we're going to work on and see what we can do. Our next meeting is October 23rd if anybody wants to join us.
We're raising our hand to volunteer for DIY